Thank you for watching NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond. I am your host, Diana Master, and we'll be right back with our midday news update.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 150.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
In today's midday news update, a Tanzanian truck driver was arrested on Sunday night in Windhoek after he was found in possession of 24,460 grams of cannabis skunk valued at 1.2 million Namibian dollars. The truck arrived in town from South Africa, police reports. Now do remember to engage with these stories and more throughout our visual broadcast. Stick around, we'll be right back with visual news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In visual news this afternoon, Namibia has bettered its safety stance globally according to the latest Global Safety Index. Yolanda Nell has more.
According to the 2023 Global Peace Index, Namibia is the 7th safest country in Africa and has impressively improved its global safety rank from 68th in 2022 to 56th in 2023. However, the occurrence of muggings does warrant caution, especially when managing cash near ATMs. Most of these crimes typically take place beyond the city centre, and the police often find taxi drivers complicit in these criminal activities. Just like Senegal, the US State Department has placed Namibia under a Level 1 travel advisory, indicating that the country is relatively safe to visit. Namibia comes highly recommended by solo female travelers and is considered one of the safest African nations for solo journeys. African countries who snatched the top spots are Mauritius, Botswana and Sierra Leone. Neighbour South Africa is ranked 33rd safest on the continent and fell 8 spots, ranking 130th globally. This is the 17th edition of the Global Peace Index, which ranks 163 independent states and territories according to their level of peacefulness. Produced by the Institute for Economic and Peace, the GPI is the world's leading measure of global peacefulness. This report presents the most comprehensive data-driven analysis to date on trends in peace, its economic value, and how to develop peaceful societies. This year's results found that the average level of global peacefulness deteriorated by 0.42%. This is the 13th deterioration in peacefulness in the last 15 years, with 84 countries improving and 79 deteriorating in peacefulness.
Getting into our next video, Popular Democratic Movement President Raffinetti has promised proper health care for Namibians once his party gets voted into power. Raffinetti made the remark on Saturday during the party's rally that took place in Rundu. Let's have a look.
universal healthcare coverage. To address plugging issues of healthcare, we will galvanize efforts to develop a comprehensive and effective healthcare system, resilient even in the face of the most drastic adversities. We will focus intensely on health prevention, health promotion, and community health awareness, leading our people to both physical and mental well-being, in line with our policies as passed by our Central Committee. As PDM, we strongly believe that quality, affordable healthcare is the foundation of our citizens to lead a productive and fulfilling lives and for our country to have a strong economy. We are therefore advocating for the health in all policies approach that integrates and articulates health consideration into policy making across sectors, in the education, in the mining and various others, to improve the health of all our communities and people from Kavango East to Kunene, from Omaheke to Ohangwena, and from Komas to Erongo. Furthermore, inadequate access to quality education and the unavailability of decent health.
Stick around after the break, we get into our newspaper review segment.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Starting us off, Hyphen Hydrogen Energy CEO Marco Raffinetti says it would be to the detriment of Namibia's competitive advantage if the green hydrogen agreement between his company and the Namibian government was made public. Raffinetti also cited intellectual property rights as another reason the agreement cannot be made public, saying this doesn't happen anywhere in the world. According to him, it is not standard in any country in the world for agreements such as this to be made public. The agreement for the $192 billion green hydrogen project, in which government intends to spend billions of dollars to acquire a 24% stake, has been a subject of much consternation, with Parliament amongst state organs claiming to be in the dark about the deal. On the paper's page 3, the sustainability of social grants in Namibia has come under scrutiny as the country grapples with persistent poverty and inequality. Despite a surge in grant recipients and increased payouts over the past 3 years, concerns persist about the adequacy and effectiveness of Namibia's social safety nets. According to national statistics, the number of social grant beneficiaries has increased steadily over the past few years. In 2021, 191,028 individuals received an old age grant. By 2023, this figure rose to 202,294. Similarly, the number of disability grant recipients increased from 49,449 in 2021 to 50,927 in 2023. The introduction of the conditional basic income grant in 2023 provided additional support to 8,133 individuals. In 2023, 356,756 children are receiving a children's grant. Ineffective Safety Net Renani Musutua, a social justice activist and trustee of the Economic and Social Justice Trust, argued that while Namibia has a comprehensive social protection system, it has not been effective in addressing the root causes of poverty and equality. Now moving over to the Republicans' front page, the Canadian gas and oil exploration company Reconnaissance Energy Africa announced on its website last week that the Namibian Environmental Commissioner's Office at the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism has issued an environmental clearance certificate for petroleum exploration license number 73. The approval means that they theoretically can drill an additional 12 wells. Minister Pohamba Shifeta had previously promised representatives of local residents in the Kavango area that he would announce his decision on the objections to the expansion of Recon Africa's projects before the end of May, but instead further approval has now been granted to the mining company. Now, while numerous community representatives and civil rights organizations are being kept on hold, Recon Africa has now received the green light to theoretically drill an additional 12 wells. Moving over to page 3, the trading of live plants, particularly rare and endemic succulents and the baobab, has skyrocketed as a growing sector, posing a threat to rare species in Namibia. According to the report on wildlife protection and law enforcement in Namibia for 2022, the first cases were only brought forward last year. However, significant quantities of live plants have already been seized and numerous suspects have been arrested. According to the report, 11 cases were registered last year, with 22 suspects being taken into custody. 2 individuals have been found guilty. The data only includes arrests related to live plants, while arrests related to timber are not currently fully recorded in the database. Now over to the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page. The Allgemeine Zeitung reports on the LGBT+ community that serves political hardliners as a means to an end. Alongside the executive and legislative branch, the judiciary is considered the third independent pillar of democracy enshrined in the Namibian constitution. Some experts and observers see the adoption of the so-called Jerry Akanjo draft laws as a future threat to the Namibian constitution, which could be arbitrarily altered. Just 2 weeks ago, parliamentarians heavily criticized the ruling party, accusing them of negligence as the executive branch for introducing last-minute changes to the laws in the National Assembly. The changes concerned financial laws and regulations that needed to be aligned with international norms to prevent Namibia from being placed on the grey list of the International Supervisory Authority for Financial Crime. However, now the majority of lawmakers succumb to hastily push through amendments against the LGBTQ+ community in an unimaginably short period of time. Moving over to the paper's page 3, according to a recently published report, initiatives to combat poaching were able to apprehend 75 suspects in 106 cases of rhino poaching in 2022. In the same year, the number of rhinos poached nationwide reached its highest level since 2015, as stated in the National Report on Wildlife Protection and Law Enforcement in Namibia. The report is based on data compiled from sources such as the Integrated Database of Wildlife Crime in Namibia, as well as information provided by the Blue Rhino Task Teams, the Ministry of Environment and the Namibian Police. The report highlights that the number of rhinos known to have been poached in 2022 increased by 97.9% compared to 2021, marking the highest losses since 2015. Stick around, we'll be back with more newspaper review segment after the break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk.
Jou lief die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Continuing right along with our newspaper review, we take a look at what's on the Namibian's front page. The Bank of Namibia is pressuring the Business and Intellectual Property Authority to introduce a modern $82 million Namibian digital registration system that would, among others, help trace individuals involved in financial crime. However, leaked documents show that some government officials are skeptical about the estimated cost of this project, which has ballooned from $20 million Namibian dollars to $82 million. The system, which would record the ultimate owners of businesses, has been touted as a way to increase transparency and avoid global financial sanctions. The Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises, the Financial Intelligence Centre's acting director, Zenobia Barry, and her colleagues at the Bank of Namibia are in support of the new system. Top government officials have approached the New Zealand company Faustin-Archange to implement the new system. On to page 3, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, in their latest reports released last week, said about 1.5 million people in Namibia could not afford a healthy diet in 2021 and 2020. This has increased since 2017, when 1.3 million could not afford a healthy diet. The cost of a healthy diet is estimated at 70 Namibian dollars and 20 cents. A further 57.7% experienced moderate or severe food insecurity last year. This comes as the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification estimates that 239,000 people will experience high levels of acute food insecurity between April and August. Moving over to the New Era's front page, the Rossing uranium mine is currently offering separation packages to employees impacted by the appointment of a new mining contractor at the mine. The voluntary packages are being offered until the end of 2026, when Chinese company Bangui Mining is scheduled to take over mining operations. The year 2026 is when Rossing Uranium's current mining operations come to an end, and the Chinese mining contractor will assume operations in extracting uranium from the longest-running open pit mine in the world. On to page 3, a 21-year-old man died instantly after he was electrocuted as he allegedly attempted to steal copper cables at Ekamba village last week. According to the Oshana police spokesperson Thomas Ayambo, the man who was electrocuted was trying to steal high-voltage copper cables connected to a power transformer. His body was discovered by a passerby who alerted the paramedics at the Oshakati State Hospital. That brings us to the end of our newspaper review segment. After the break, we get into our economic news.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Let's get into our economic news. Sub-Saharan Africa's gaming industry is expected to generate over $1 billion for the first time in 2024, according to data shared exclusively with CNBC. The figures, which were compiled by Dutch research firm New Zoo for African gaming startup Carry First, suggest a buoyant market for gaming in Africa, where economic growth has been sluggish as the region grapples with lingering inflation, tough financial conditions, and high net debt. Sub-Saharan Africa's economic growth rate dipped to 3.6% in 2022 from 4.1% in 2021, according to the World Bank, and it is forecast to fall further in 2023 to 3.1%. Despite that, Africa's video game market has been doing well. In 2022, games sold in the region generated $868.8 million in revenue, up 8.7% year over year, according to New Zoo's data. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators, also proudly brought to you by Bank Fintech. $23 and 53 cents buys you 1 British pound, while 80 Namibian dollars gets you $1 US. You can get yourself 1 Chinese yuan for 2 Namibian dollars and 51 cents. Looking at NSX stock closing prices, First Rand Namibia took a dip of 0.80%, while Capricorn Investment Group took an upturn of 0.30%. Local index closed with 0.13%. It took a dip, while overall index also took a dip of 0.18%. Looking at commodities, all commodities are up, save for Brent crude oil, which took a dip of 0.62%, now trading at $78.87 per barrel. After the break, we get into our African news. Stay tuned.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Hyphen, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
We now expand beyond Namibia's borders to give you news from across the African continent. Starting us off, several thousand people gathered Sunday alongside President Faustin Touadéra in Bangui, the capital of the Central African Republic, to launch the referendum campaign on a new draft constitution that could allow the head of state to stand for a third term. Touadéra delivered the new constitution draft to the campaign organizers at the end of June. He said to a crowd of supporters that the referendum vote gives them the opportunity to decide on a better future for the country. If approved, approved, the new constitution removes the limit of 2 terms to the president, therefore allowing the president to run for a 3rd term in office. Touadéra's campaign team tried to allay fears over the referendum. After the break, we get into our international news. Stay tuned.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
In international news this afternoon, Russia said on Monday it had launched an investigation over an apparent attack on the Crimean Bridge, a key artery for Russian troops fighting in Ukraine. Video released by Russia's investigative committee on Monday showed its investigators collecting debris on the damaged section of the bridge. Russia said 2 people had been killed and 1 person wounded in the attack, which it blamed on Ukrainian special services. 3 Ukrainian media outlets quoted unnamed sources as saying Ukraine's domestic security agency and navy were behind Monday's incident on the Crimean Bridge and that they had used seaborne drones to attack it. Don't go anywhere. We'll bring you sports news right here on NMH at 1 after the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Now let's get into our local sports news. Sunshine pleased with clean sweep in Zimbabwe boxing promoter Nestor Tobias has expressed satisfaction after his stable's boxers delivered a clean sweep in neighboring Zimbabwe. The MTC Nestor Promotions had sent 5 boxers to compete in the neighboring country over the weekend. Tobias says the boxers proved why MTC Sunshine and Namibian boxing is in a class of its own in Africa. The night started with Sebastianus Nathaniel defeating Peter Pambeni on points over 6 rounds. Nestor Amukoto followed with a TKO victory in the first round over Blessing Kachigwada. Namibian top boxing prospect Matthias Hayter made easy work of Bongani Makurova with a devastating second-round technical knockout. Hayter used the tournament as an opportunity to keep fit and healthy going forward as he prepares for bigger international fights. Now resurgent FNB UNAM stormed to a 38-19 victory against Trustco United in the Namibia Rugby Union's Premier League at UNAM Stadium on Saturday. Although United scored their first try within 3 minutes from the kick-off, it was UNAM that took the encounter by the scruff of the neck to gradually overpower the Philistines. UNAM's powerful runners and direct physical approach got the better of United, who had few answers to the students' physical onslaught in a clean and entertaining match. The hosts outscored United 5-3, with the winners 5-pointers rounded off by centre Kamlo Martin, lock Bjorn Kadondunge and flanker Rowan Janssen. 8th man Dean Blom had a good day at the office for United when he went over twice, while flanker Thehad Lindveld visited the whitewash as well. Fullback Renier Bernade narrowly missed with a drop kick but was successful with 2 conversions. Now, the second round of the Central Volleyball Association League began on the 17th of June and will conclude on 12 August. A number of matches for men and women were played at the Windhoek Showgrounds on Saturday. Andreas Ngombe has been the coach of the Namibian Defence Force, a volleyball club, since the beginning of the year. He says the men's team is outstanding in its technique as they have mostly recorded wins since the second round took off. Stick around after the break. We give you international sports news.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Now let's get into our international sports news. Zambia claimed a record 7th COSAFA Cup title after they defeated Lesotho 1-0 in the tournament final played at the Kings Welitini Stadium on Sunday evening. Chipolopolo moved clear of arch-rival Zimbabwe 6 titles on the all-time COSAFA Cup winners list and successfully defended the title they won last year thanks to a second-half header from striker Moyela Libamba. As for Lukwena, they put in a fine display and looked the stronger team for 2/3 of the match, but ultimately fell short in their attempt to win a first COSAFA Cup. Getting into our next story, Springbok prop Steven Kitchoff told the South African media on Sunday that it felt like we were chasing ghosts for 20 minutes after a 35-20 rugby championship mauling in New Zealand. A brilliant start by the All Blacks saw them score 2 tries and 17 points in as many minutes against the era-strewn Rugby World Cup title holders in Auckland on Saturday. South Africa are renowned as set-piece maestros, but all they did in the opening quarter was concede penalties, miss tackles and lose line-out, breakdown and aerial battles. The Sunday Times quoted veteran Kitchoff saying the All Blacks pride themselves on the way they attack, but to attack you need a good set piece. Now bringing you your last international sports story, opener Liton Das Top scored with 35 as Bangladesh defeated Afghanistan by 6 wickets in the second 2020 international to take the 2-match series 2-0 on Sunday. Liton laid the foundation for the win with a 67-run opening stand with Afif Hussain as Bangladesh raced to 119 for 4 in 16 overs after Taskin Ahmed's 3-33 helped the side restrict Afghanistan to 116 for 7 in a rain-reduced 17 overs. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1 and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast right after this.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Top.
Dis die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
You're watching NMH at 1. If you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. Several thousand people gathered Sunday alongside President Touadéra in Bangui, the capital of the Central African Republic, to launch the referendum campaign on a new draft constitution that could allow the head of state to stand for a 3rd term. Touadéra delivered the new constitution draft to the campaign organizers at the end of June. In international news, Russia said on Monday that it had launched an investigation over an apparent attack on the Crimean Bridge, a key artery for Russian troops fighting in Ukraine. Video released by Russia's investigative committee on Monday showed its investigators collecting debris on the damaged section of the bridge. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1. That is it from all of us here in